Hello and welcome back. Alright, so in a previous video we used the Tika library to extract a PDF document. So now we're going to look at working with that document content and metadata and creating an object out of it for storage and retrieval later. So if you remember, we had our main class and that called a PDF Extractor, and that extractor had a couple of different methods in it. The import PDF method just started grabbing the document, parsed it out into the independent elements, and then we dealt with the content and the metadata. Now last time, if you recall, we just printed out the content string, so we'll go ahead and see that here. So what we're going to do though is we're going to modify this program a little bit, and we're going to work with the metadata, and then we're going to bring that all together into some kind of an object that we can work with later on in some other application. Right, so first what we'll do is take out this print line here, and we'll call our get metadata function. But what we want to do with that is we're going to add a little print line just so you can see what that metadata looks like. Alright, so down here we'll add a system.out.println line, nothing too exciting here. We'll grab the name, which is going to be the key to the map, and we're going to grab the value out of the map. So you're going to see what those pairs are of different metadata we can get in a document, and it's actually pretty extensive. Alright, so we'll go ahead and save that off, run it, and so when it does run, we should see it process out and print that metadata out for us. Alright. And starting up the extraction, printing up the metadata, awesome. And see, we get a ton of information, and that's really great. But now we got a bunch of content and a bunch of metadata, and what are we going to do with that, right? The whole idea of doing this is to eventually, obviously, do something with the content later. So we're going to create a new package here called repository. I've already gone ahead and set this up. And the repository package is basically going to be used to store the content and metadata as some sort of record, and then ultimately use that record and post it to some sort of, storage instance. Maybe it's a database of sorts. So we're going to go ahead and create that document record. So we'll create a string ID. We'll generate a unique UUID for that one, and then we'll store the metadata and the content. And then later on, we can actually expand this class out and add other attributes if we want to make it a little more interesting. But we'll stick with that for now. The other thing we're going to want is a document repository class, and this is going to handle storage and retrieval of any of those content records. And right now we're just stubbing it out, and later on we'll go through and actually expand this out into our ultimate implementation. So let's go back. Now we're going to modify our PDF Extractor class, and what we're going to do is generate a new document record, and then we're going to store that document record in the repository. And of course, it doesn't do anything at this point until we do the implementation for that, but just to kind of show how that's going to work. And so now when we run this, we're going to, instead of getting the output, we should just get an output from that document repository function that indicates that we need to still implement those database or storage details at some later point. So we'll go ahead and add that in here, and storing our record. Awesome. All right, so we'll save that off, and we're going to go ahead and run this application. Our processor opens, it's extracting that document, and boom, there we go, add database details to store. So now we're well on our way. We can extract a document, create a record out of it, and we're going to store it in some manner. Right, and I'd like to thank you for watching, and remember to come back frequently and check for new content.